Thank you so much. I love to be in front of a classroom, and this is the biggest one I've been in front of in a long time, so it's nice to be here. A few weeks ago, I gave a talk at Kellogg called a Nota Bene, which is Latin for mark well, or observe carefully and pay special attention to it. In it, I shared 3 lessons about success that my own life has taught me, and today I'd like to elaborate on one of those lessons. In the Nota Bene, I said that students who are approaching graduation often have to make big choices. What job to take, where to live. I said that these choices sometimes feel like what an arborist calls a split lead, which is where a single trunk of a tree splits in 2. It can feel like one decision will lead your life off in one direction, while the other side will lead your life to a completely different place. But I said in the Nota Bene, that's not actually how trees grow. If you look up in the top of the tree, you see that those big sections of the tree divide and divide again, and that the smaller branches intertwine and cross each other until, way up in the canopy of the tree, it's hard to tell whether a particular leaf is attached to one side of the cleft or the other. Just like the tree, your big choices may set you off in an initial direction, but where your life ends up is ultimately more determined by the smaller choices that follow. I'd like to give you some advice today about making the choices that don't seem life-changing, because I think those choices make as much difference to the direction of your life, maybe more. So what about those choices that aren't big forks in the road? You have to make those kinds of choices all the time. How should you think about them? A simple answer would be that your choices should prioritize the things that matter most. But what I want to suggest today is that over the course of your life, the causation will actually run the other way. You may think that what you are doing is prioritizing the things that matter most. But what is really happening is the reverse. What will ultimately have the most meaning for you is what you have most invested in. You may have heard a saying along the lines of, "Show me how you spend your time, and I will show you what you value." I don't love this saying, because the truth is that adult life requires you to spend time on lots of stuff that does not represent your deep values, but has to be done. Going to the dentist, registering your car at the DMV, submitting your expense receipts, taking out the trash. What I am trying to express is better captured by a quote from Henry David Thoreau that my dear friend April has as the signature line of her email. It says, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it." As an economist, of course, I have to agree. The idea that the price of something is determined by something scarce given in exchange for it is pretty much theorem 1 of microeconomics. But what I'm trying to say today isn't really about price. It is about value. And what I want you to understand is that the value of anything in your life will be the amount of your true self that you invest in it. By your true self, I mean not just your honest, good effort. I mean what you put your heart into. I mean what you are willing to sacrifice for. What you make room for, even when you're not sure how it's going to work. What you bring your authentic and vulnerable self to. What you are willing to risk sorrow and loss for. This is what it means to invest your true self. The things you choose to invest your true self into will be the things, in the end, that mean the most to you. I can't tell you what that should be for you. I think for the most satisfying life, it should be a mix of things. Some of them professional, some of them personal. Some of them intellectual, some of them emotional. Some of them individual, but definitely some that are focused on other people. Many of you would guess, correctly, that teaching is that for me. Lots of you also know that climate change is that for me. But there are lots of other things that you might not guess that I invest my true self into and mean just as much to me. Cooking meals for my friend and her family after she broke her shoulder. Spending 4 days in Florida last week, carting water and ice to keep my son and his rowing team hydrated. I guarantee you I did not look like this. Nobody gave me an award and nobody asked me to give a speech. Teaching Sunday school at my church. Teaching math to inmates at San Quentin when I lived in California. Your choices won't be the same as mine. You will make different choices. But it will still be the case, I suggest, that what means the most in the end will be what you choose to invest your true self in. I will end with a story that my cousin Margaret shared with me. Margaret's neighbor is a talented and generous baker. She often bakes cookies for neighbors, for school events, for church socials, and the like. You might imagine that she takes pride in assembling platters of perfectly formed, delicious-looking cookies to present at these events. Best foot forward and all. But she doesn't. As generous as she is, she always keeps the most perfect, the most delicious, the best-looking cookies for her own family. Who do you keep your best cookies for? I want to suggest to you that that choice will do more to determine the course of your life than where you live or which company you work for. Invest your true self in the things that matter most to you, because where you invest your true self is, in the end, what will mean the most. Good luck, Godspeed, and come back and see us soon.